ॐ जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयो श्रुत्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः. I will chant Om, so all of you here are aware of whatever we have to do. Trying to withdraw our mind and senses from external disturbances, sitting erect, comfortably erect, not so comfortable that you fall asleep, but sitting erect comfortably, and closing your eyes and ears and withdrawing your senses from the external disturbances. Those of you who have been initiated into some kind of spiritual initiation or meditation can practice your japa or meditation. Others can visualize a luminous space in your heart and your true self. I will again chant Om and then you can open your eyes slowly. Om. Katha Upanishad, Death with a Difference. Come to that. So someone today, one young brahmachari from our Vivekananda University was asking me just today, why this title, Death with a Difference? I said, because there is no death. Actually, we think that there is death and there is no death. Na hanyate na hanyamane sharire. So, our idea of death is wrong. So, we will study Kathopanishad now. First, the Shanti mantra. I will chant, you can follow. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So last time we saw the chariot model, and what was the model?
There is a chariot. So Atma, the chariot is the body, and the chariot is the intellect, and the brains are the mind, and the self is the owner of the chariot, and the horses are the senses.
And road? Sense objects. So this was the chariot model. Then we saw how our sense organs work. Now here we will see the next mantra. Have you all seen a butterfly? How many of you have not seen a butterfly? Why is a butterfly called a butterfly? Any wild thinking? Anyone? Nobody interested in biology, huh? Butterfly, why is butterfly called butterfly? Huh? Oh. So you are ready to answer what was written in the biology book? Oh. Yes, anyone?
When you touch it, some powder-like things come on the finger.
So it's like butter, so that's why it's called butterfly. It's actually the correct thing. Sometimes we think wildly and the wild thing happens to be the correct thing. So it's a butterfly. What happens to a butterfly? How is a butterfly born? Is anyone here who knows the entire life cycle of a butterfly? Yes, what are the stages?
You have the egg in the stage, then you have the pupa, then you have caterpillar.
Poop.
In between there is a
Larvae.
larvae.
After pupa, I think. Larvae. Caterpillar. What is this stage called? What is this thing called? Metamorphosis. Is there any work of literature by this name? Metamorphosis?
There is a book.
By?
It's a drama actually.
By?
German. I've forgotten.
Kafka. Kafka wrote a very landmark work of fiction, Metamorphosis. So what is metamorphosis? Transformation. In different stages. If somebody comes and sees our dear Professor Somnathji and just makes abracadabra and changes, that is not that is transformation, but it will not be metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is gradual evolution through various stages. Here, Kathopanishad is going to talk about metamorphosis. How we change, or we are supposed to change from one level to the another, higher and higher. That kind of change, the evolution which we need to do in our spiritual lives. Earlier, if you remember, the Upanishad gave us two paths. One is of people who want to attain material prosperity, which can be done by performing sacrifices like the Nachiketa sacrifice. And the other one is to attain to the true nature of one's own self, realizing the knowledge of Brahman, getting the knowledge of Brahman. Now you see, as nature is being studied externally, scientifically, you have the model of the atom, you have subatomic particles, atomic particles, then you have further subatomic particles, then you have the God particle, then your God particle will follow already. You have the LHC experiment, then already there is a sequel to that experiment. So it goes on and on and on. You dissect and further dissect the external appearance which is available to you and try to, it's like, some children, most of us have been, particularly all of you are engineers here, most of these people who become engineers in their later lives have this problem in childhood. You give them a toy and the next moment everything is dissected. So, the other day we were talking in ashrama about audiobooks, not this kind, but the earlier kind, when you open a book and there used to be a music which used to play in the background. So when I was given such a book, I immediately went to the source and dissected it and found that, oh, this is how it works. So all the children do that. You dissect what is available in the external world. But also we need to do that in the internal world. We need to go further, deeper, deeper, deeper. There is a phrase, farther reaches of human nature. It's a book like that by that name. So you go into, Swami Ranganathan ji gave a lecture, Study of Human Being in Depth, and it later on came out as a book. How many of you have read it? No. So please do read it. Human Being in Depth. So we need to study ourselves in depth, go deeper and deeper. So at one end of the spectrum is the gross, and the other end is the subtle, the superfine. Now the question is, why should we do this? And the answer is very simple. We want to realize the spiritual through a system which is mainly material. Our mind is matter, our body is matter. In fact, there are many interesting things in this. You see, have you ever thought that we always dabble in body-mind complex, right? But according to Indian philosophy, Indian psychology, there are 5 sheets or 5 layers of our personality. What are they? No, don't leapfrog. What are they in the proper order? Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha and Anandamaya Kosha. These are the 5 layers of our personality. All of these layers, don't be misled by the term Vijnana or Ananda. All of these layers are in the material realm. They are not spiritual. You have to transcend all these layers to go to true spirituality. And have you ever realized that whenever we talk about ourselves, we are talking either at the plane of the body, Annamaya Kosha, or at the plane of the mind, Manomaya Kosha. Actually, we are leapfrogging one plane, Pranamaya Kosha. Why is it that we don't know? For example, when I say I am hungry, I am at the Annamaya Kosha, at the level of the body. When I say I want to know this, I am at the Manomaya Kosha, at the level of the mind. Or when I say I am dejected, sorry or sad, I am at the Manomaya Kosha. But in between there is a very important kosha, breathing, blood circulation, heartbeat. I am not even aware of that. So, though we may pride ourselves in thinking that we are very much in control of our body, the fact remains that we are not. We are not aware of our body also. We are not aware of our mind also. That is the problem. We think that we are aware, but we are not. And that creates the problem. So that is why in techniques like Vipassana, which in Pali means Vipassana, and in Sanskrit it means Vipashyana, means seeing specially or seeing in detail. The technique is to watch your breathing, watch your metabolic activities, vital activities of your body. In Hatha Yoga, this is done so that you are able to control different things. You can even control the blood circulation. You can decide how much blood should go to the brain. It is possible, and many people have done that. But Sri Ramakrishna says that don't practice that, because then your mind will be brought down to the body level. But what I want to insist upon is that is it not very strange that we don't even bother about that Pranamaya Kosha? So we have to be aware. Please remember the word Vipaschit, which we read in the previous mantra, some mantras earlier. Na jayate na mriyate. Remember that mantra? So please memorize these mantras. I told you these are very important mantras. So they are Vipaschit. Vipaschit means we, Vishesha Rupena, Pash, see, Chit, Chaitanya. So one who is aware of one's own consciousness, self, conscious self. I am not this body, I am not this mind, I am this conscious self. That awareness has to be created. Metamorphosis here in Katha Upanishad is about being in a journey from the gross to the subtle and to the super subtle. And finally, going beyond this body-mind complex, going beyond these 5 layers of our personality to understand what is true consciousness. Because most of the time we don't even know what we are talking about. We say many things about consciousness which are actually nothing but the mind. We say many things about consciousness which are actually nothing but Vijnanamaya Kosha. So consciousness is not all these but much beyond these. That we need to understand. It is not in Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. It is in the Turiya Avastha, 4th stage. We have to understand that. Intellectually we have to understand. Using this matter, we have to go beyond this matter. This is the trickiest part. So when we say consciousness, it has been a debate, a very big debate. A debate of the Western psychology and the Eastern psychology. According to Western psychology, mind and your emotions, everything is nothing but chemical reactions in the brain. According to Eastern psychology, mind is matter but not in your brain. So this is a big, yes? Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. And then Turiya. So the other thing is Eastern psychology, where Eastern psychology says that our true nature is Chaitanya, Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa. Now the problem is this Chaitanya, consciousness. There are volumes and volumes of works written both from the Eastern perspective and the Western perspective, from the psychological perspective, from the neurological perspective, from the medical perspective, and today the debate is more vibrant because of, thanks to engineers, from the AI perspective, artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence comes to this place called consciousness, and it's a huge debate. What is consciousness? Earlier on we used to say that a human being is a person who has a self-referencing mechanism. I think you understand what's a self-referencing mechanism, right? No. Self-referencing mechanism means there is a word called reflexivity, where you say, I am happy, I am sad. You refer to yourself. Simple. I did this, or in the Shastras we say Kartrutva Bhoktrutva. This is my mobile. I am enjoying Alfonso. This Alfonso keeps on coming till the season is there. Afterwards some other thing will come. Alfonso. Oh, I promised to give you a treat of Alfonso, no? Next week. I need to mone kore deben. Koto 50 জন হলে হবে না? 50 enough. So Alfonso. So the sense of enjoyment, the sense of ownership. Now you see, here comes the trickiest part. Here comes the trickiest part. Robots today are not designed like they used to be. Artificial intelligence is no more a very simple science. Of course, nobody will say that it was simple to begin with, but nowadays it's not like that. What are the new age robots like? You don't actually, even fuzzy logic is a thing of the past. You know what is fuzzy logic? Based on the behavioral or usage patterns, the system learns itself. That is, anybody here who is working on fuzzy logic? Okay, no, it's not that fuzzy, but that is what, something like that, like we use. Yeah. So now what human beings create are not, they are less robots, they are more humanoids. Actually they are called humanoids. So what people are programming, and it's not exactly programming, a learning curve is created. A humanoid is produced with an ability to learn just like a human being does. What does that mean? Suppose you are there. You are sent to say you are sent to Poland. So you are there, you know English, and you, after some time, you learn the culture of Poland. You learn the language of Poland. Say 10 years in Poland and you are very good. Nobody actually programmed you. This learning curve was there. So now humanoids are there already, they have been made, which if sent to Poland will automatically learn, just like human beings learn. Whatever they see, they will learn, they will adapt to situations. And these humanoids have a very much self-referencing system. Of course, these things are also old. They can understand temperature, they can understand the face, the body language. So if you are becoming angry, they will say, why do you become angry, etc. There are lots of robots which have been made to become receptionists. Actually, Asimo, produced by Honda, they make good receptionists. So somebody comes and very angry, they say, sir, will you have a glass of water, etc. And this robo has happiness. This robo has sorrow. These are all, done intelligently incorporated into a humanoid system. A robot can get angry also. It's interesting. And now we are talking about the US Army producing robo warriors. There is a debate going on whether it should be done or not. But they already, things is ready. They are good to go. So a robot will decide when to shoot, when to attack, etc.
Human being becomes sorry when he doesn't get the expected value. But in the robot, do they have at all expected?
Yeah, all these things have been already incorporated. A robot said,